is Rachel Dworkin of the Chemung County Historical Society. Today is December 2nd, 2020. I am here interviewing
Jim Pfiffer. I'm the recently retired Executive Director of Chemung River Friends.
and this is for the COVID Memory Project.
Correct.
Jim, earlier we were talking about how COVID has affected recreation. Could you tell me a little bit about that and also a little bit about the River Friends and how that sort of relates to that?
Sure. So River Friends was started in 11 years ago to promote the river, to protect the river, to make people aware of what we have, and how how nice it is and how it can be used for recreation. When COVID hit, gymnasiums, schools, anything to do with recreation closed down. And the only recreation that was available was outside. And you couldn't be basketball, it couldn't be football. It had to be something where you were 6 feet away from people. Well, the folks discovered that paddling on the river, hiking and running the trails was a way that they could do that. Get outside, get some exercise, and enjoy nature. So we saw a tenfold increase in the number of people paddling on the river throughout the summer, to the point where all the canoes and kayaks in this area had been sold, all the paddles had been sold, fishing equipment had been sold, you couldn't buy it anywhere. And I would see on the weekends, all of the boat launches would be packed with vehicles, and I'd see 50, 60, 100 people paddling on the river. I'm going to say that there were easily, throughout the summer, 5,000 to 7,000 paddle trips, not different people, but paddle trips on that river. And what's nice about that is a lot of those people had never done that. So they were discovering it for the first time and realizing, wow, this is easy, this is fun, this is beautiful. I'm going to continue to do it. And the nice thing about that is once you realize, hey, look what the river can do for me, I want to take care of it. I want to protect it. Let's do everything we can to preserve this. So it really helped us a lot. Same with people hiking and running along trails. Saw a big increase in that. You couldn't find hiking shoes anywhere. Backpacks were hard to buy because people were out enjoying it. Got to the point where a couple times I'd be out hiking, and I'd like to hike where I don't see anybody. I'd be running into people all the time, people that I knew and so on. So it was hard to get away from folks. So it was sort of a silver lining to the virus. And again, I think that will continue once the virus is gone or we're vaccinated. People are going to say, geez, it's right in my backyard. It's open 24/7. I don't need a ticket. It's beautiful. And they'll continue to go out and hike, paddle, and so on, and enjoy nature and the environment and respect it and take care of it.
So you mentioned earlier when we were talking about how you had talked to people who were coming up from outside the area.
Right. So I started getting a lot of calls from folks, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Canada, wanted to come and paddle on the river. And they were calling us asking for advice where to paddle. And I would say to them, how did you hear about it? I went online and I typed in Chemung River, or I heard about it. And I wanted to come and paddle it and try it out because they had paddled everything around their neighborhood or their neck of the woods, and they wanted to try something different. What was interesting is a lot of them would stay overnight, and they'd either stay with relatives or they were staying at B&Bs, but they weren't staying at hotels. They wanted to be somewhere, a cottage where it was just them or just their family. So that's good for our economy. You're bringing tourists here, spending their money. Those folks are going to go back home, tell their friends and relatives about it, and they'll come back here again and use it. So it's another way that the river is helping our economy and our quality of life.
Okay. So I assume that you said you like to hike, so you were doing hiking and you were probably doing river stuff. What else were you doing during the pandemic to sort of socialize and get out there?
Yeah, Zoom meetings. It's interesting that my wife and I, prior to the pandemic, we would have cocktail hour at our house at 4 o'clock on Friday. During the pandemic, cocktail hour was 4 o'clock every day at our house. So that was what bothered me the most, is not being able to socialize. I'm a tactile person. I like to shake hands. I like to hug. Not being able to do that hurt. Zoom was a lifesaver. I have family all over the United States, so every couple of weeks we would do Zoom meetings. And I'd have some of the people I'd meet with, they say, let's meet down at the river, meet me at a boat launch, bring your lawn chair. And we get 3 or 4 people. We'd set our lawn chairs up 4 or 5 feet apart, take our mask off, and be able to talk and enjoy each other. But I think that was what was most difficult for me, is missing out on socializing, being near people, touching people, enjoying people. It's tough for me now. Now we're back into that same situation now, especially during the holidays. All Thanksgiving and Christmas, that's difficult. My daughter and son-in-law just had identical twins, and they live in Jersey City, and they're only a couple of months old. We had to quarantine each other, and we got COVID tests before we went down to visit with them. And we just stayed in the house, and they stayed there. They want to come up for Christmas and bring the twins up and stay with us, which is fine, but none of the other relatives can come over to see them. So, that's difficult. It's something that you have to do. And I guess that's what bothered me, is I will say most of the people I've seen in Chemung County, 99% of them wear masks and are practicing social distancing and good hygiene. But I'm seeing a lot of people who are getting together in small groups in their homes with friends or family, and I think because they're familiar, they think, oh, they don't have the virus, and that seems to be what's causing the spike now. Part of it is just the COVID fatigue, but we're going to see another big spike now, and I'm worried at Christmas time it's going to be as bad as it's ever been when you want to be with families.
So what did you do for Thanksgiving?
My wife and I cooked steaks out on the grill and had shrimp, a completely non-traditional Thanksgiving. It was just us two. We did a Zoom meeting with our families. So I don't know what we'll do for Christmas. I mean, I think one of the things I discovered is because more people are spending time at home, they're doing more projects at home. Every repair that had been done in my house that I've been putting off, they're all done. I got a new roof on the house. My wife goes stir crazy and she's rearranging furniture. We got new bathrooms done. So, and it's funny, some of the businesses that did well, any businesses that had to do with renovations, with construction, with outdoor landscaping, those businesses were doing great. Same with businesses that were dealing in recreation. Local bike shop, Kingsbury's, ran out of bicycles. He had to close. He had no bicycles. He couldn't do repairs anymore because he couldn't get parts. So it's interesting in the businesses that really did well during the coronavirus. But unfortunately, there's a lot more, especially the restaurants and the bars, that aren't doing well. So I'm interested to see the changes that we made, if they're going to continue. I fear that people aren't going to be shaking hands anymore, that once the virus is gone, people are going to be reluctant to hug or to be near each other. But it's just, I retired 2 months ago. These are supposed to be my golden years, and they become the virus years. It's unfortunate, but I'm never surprised, but always impressed with how resilient we are and how we get over things, and we'll get by this, and I think we'll learn from it. But I'm just interested to see how it changes our culture, how it changes our interactions, what it's going to do to education, and so on. And like I said, I've seen one of the big changes is people realizing we have this beautiful outdoors right here in our backyard. We can use it. We can be safe. It's free. I like that. You get them out there and let them use it and enjoy it. They become stakeholders. They want to protect it. They want to take care of it. And that's what we need.
Okay. Now, you had talked about going to various museums, and you had also talked about fundraising for the River Friends, and I want to touch on both of those things. Sure.
River Friends would do 2 fundraising letters each year, one in the summer and then one at Christmas time. Summer letter that I wrote explaining to people we survived the virus. We can't do the events, paddle trips, guided hikes, and so on. We can't do those. We'll do things by Zoom. We're going to continue so we need you to help us funding. We saw about a 5% increase in the amount of money people were giving us, and a lot of people were sending us, where they would send us 500, they're sending us 1,500 bucks. What's going on? Well, what I discovered was those folks would usually go on vacations, and they'd spend $3,000-4,000 every year. They couldn't go on vacations anymore, and they said, you know what? I'm going to give this money back to the community. They'd pick a list of nonprofits, and they would they'd donate the money to those nonprofits, which was interesting. I was really curious: is it going to require, or is the virus going to reduce the amount of charitable funding we get? Increase it? How it increased it a little bit. I think it will continue. Again, it goes back to I just think there are great people here who care about the community and care about each other, and they're always there to take care of each other. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of the
Yeah,
question?
you had mentioned that you were going to various
Right.
museums.
So, like I said, I retired 2 months ago. And the virus comes and you're stuck home. There's not much you can do. There's nothing open that you can go to have fun, have a drink, go out to dinner. What is open? Museums. And so couple of my friends and I get together, and each week we try to hit 1 or 2 museums, and we're starting concentric circles, Elmira, outside of Elmira, and keep going bigger and bigger to hit as many of these museums as we can. You can go to the museums, not a lot of people there, can do the safe distancing. You get to learn along the way. And prior to this latest lockdown, the wineries and the breweries were open. We had a joke that any place that employed yeast, we would stop in and share in the libations. So that's one of the neat things we discovered is what you can go and what you can see is the museums. And it's been wonderful because it's fun and we're learning a lot, and it's helping the museums, which are nonprofits as well.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add about your COVID experience?
No, I don't think so. I think
All
that's
right.
it.
Well, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thanks.